Crossing the Rubicon or the Waterloo, there are many expressions for the point of no return.
In relationships, this happens when somebody loses hope of a change in their spouse.
There's no turning back. Even if there's a change, it's
Too little, too late.
Now, in our life as a couple, there can be a point of no return where if I just go too far, you'll walk and never come back, right? Now, forgiveness is a must whether you want reconciliation or whether you don't, because otherwise you yourself get poisoned.
Well, we heard a very interesting sermon on the Battle of Ai yesterday, and the point of what was going on with Achan.
Okay, this is Joshua chapter 7.
He had done something which he had been told quite clearly not to do. Mm-hmm. There was a consequence to that action. He could be forgiven, but there was still going to be a consequence. But the forgiveness is really, really important, because even if you have to be punished for what it is you have done, to know that you have been forgiven means that after the punishment is done, there's a way to start a journey again.
Okay.
But if there is no forgiveness, not only does it poison the person who can't forgive, but it also poisons the person who is seeking forgiveness, because they can't.
They can't move on either.
They're shackled.
Yeah. You know that story of Achan was really interesting because it showed that yes, you can be forgiven, but sometimes the consequences are very, very dire.
Like, for example, where we're talking about marriages where a person has gone to a place where there is no return. The marriage cannot be recuperated now because that person has just gone too far. That doesn't mean to say, however, that they cannot be forgiven. The relationship may never ever go back to where it was.
Well, I would even go so far as to say that when you forgive, it doesn't mean that you have to let the person back in.
In fact, sometimes it would be very
it's exactly the wrong thing to do. Now, we've seen a situation just this week where a dear woman has left her husband 4 times, and finally this time she just said, "That is it. I've had enough. I've tried, and it's not going to work. He keeps being abusive." She's admirable. I don't think I would have put up with a quarter of a half of it.
And she kept forgiving and forgiving and forgiving and forgiving. He had got so much into the habit of doing what he was doing that I don't know whether it was that he didn't want to, or whether that he enjoyed toying with people.
Yeah. Well, she forgave him, but she's not going to let him back in.
Never.
And myself personally, I say, please don't let him back in.
No.
Not
No, when you
state,
actually look at that particular person and the things that are going on in her life, I can look at her and say, look at her, she's happy.
She no longer is afraid.
And that's a big thing. She is no longer afraid.
See, the person who leaves and slams the door behind him, usually is the victim of violence and fear.
Yeah. And if you take the fear out of the interesting thing is, a person who has gone through fear and overcome it will never be afraid again.
No, it's wonderful. And it's wonderful to see this young lady just set free too.
Yeah.
I hate seeing how it had to happen, but she reached the point of no return.
But she still forgave.
She did.
There's a warning in that last video.
Too true, Judy. The husband thought she'd always come back, but one day, she didn't.
Next week, Benza and Sandra will tell us how Jesus' love can change things before the point of no return.
Yeah, they got to it, but did return. Don't miss it. Bye for now and God bless.
Bye.